Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Ki Sitzei, marching towards Rosh Hashanah. One of the sections of this week's parsha is about a mitzvah called about the case of Ben Sora Mora, that a rebellious child who eats too much meat, drinks too much wine. Parents don't know what to do with the child. They bring him to Beis and they say, "B'neinu zeh, our child is Ben Sora Mora. He's Zolav Asovi. He's just a glutton." Beis takes the child, brings him outside, and kills the child. We're talking about a child 13 years old to 13 years old and 3 months. We're talking about a very small window of opportunity that you have. And that's the way we deal with children. Child is a little bit rebellious, just kill him. Because nidan al shum sofa, we say, that we look at where he's going to be in the end. And since he's on a bad trajectory, so then take him out of this world. What did he do wrong? He ate too much meat, drank too much wine? I would have died. I would have been killed. What does that mean? What's the crime? It's not a capital crime, even if it's a crime. It's not a capital crime. What are we putting him to death for? So our rabbis point out that there are certain requirements that the Talmud brings. The parents have to be speaking of the same voice, and they have to look exactly the same. They have to sound exactly the same. That if those conditions are in place, then we have a Ben Sora Mora, and then we can bring him to court and put him to death. But if those conditions are not in place, so then we can't do that. We can't put him to death. And therefore, this halacha really could never happen. And since this case could never happen, so therefore this is not a practical law. This is more of a theoretical thing. And the reason that it's there is because drosh v'kabel schar, that if we learn it, then you receive, if you dash and expound it, you'll receive a lot of reward. Because you'll learn many fundamental principles about raising a child. For example, one of the things you'll learn is that when the Talmud requires that parents speak the same and look the same, sound the same, it's not saying that they're actually physically the same. What the Talmud is requiring is that the parents be saying the same message. And what the Torah is teaching us, one of the things to learn from here is that when parents speak the different message, when one parent is speaking one spiritual message and the other is speaking from a very different place, so then that don't blame it on the child. Don't call that child who has a difficult time, figuring out their path in life. That's not because they're a rebellious child. That's a garden variety, average run-of-the-mill messed up kid. And that we have to recognize that we messed them up because we didn't speak the same message. We weren't giving them a consistent message in the home. That's called as far as Torah is concerned, that's a dysfunctional family. But a dysfunctional family, you can't blame the child. Dysfunctional family, the parents have to look at themselves and say, what do we do to cause this dysfunction? Drosh v'kabel schar, that the more we expand it, the more we understand this, and it'll help us in raising our children to make sure that our messages that are coming between husbands and wives, that the messages are the same messages. But why is it called something that's impossible to happen? It is not impossible to create this Ben Sora Mora, a real dinkum Ben Sora Mora. It's not impossible. You have two parents that are actually on the same page, mamish on the same page. And their midas are the same, and their values are the same, and they speak exactly the same way to a child. It's not an impossible thing. So what's impossible about this halacha that we're saying that it can never happen? It never was, it never will be. Drosh v'kabel schar, but it's here just to expound and to learn and to teach us a principle from the Torah. Why is it impossible? Because I think what's impossible is this notion of nidan al shum sofo. This notion of that you are judged based on where you're going. Because what that means is you're locked in. That means is the way you are now at 13 is the way you're going to be at 55, the way you're going to be at 80. And that's not true. That could never happen. Because no one is locked in. No one is stuck. We can always grow, we can always change, we can always reinvent ourselves. We can always do something with ourselves. And we're never allowed to see ourselves. Nidan al shum sofa, that we look and we say, oh, this is where you're going to go with this. Because anything can happen and anything can change. Because we have that strength inside of ourselves. In that way, we're different than animals. A lion can't wake up one morning and look in a mirror and say, you know what, I'm tired of roaring. I want to just spend my life quiet. I want to be pushing a piece of bread around from hole to hole. I want to be an ant. Lion can't do that, can't change, has a nature, it's stuck. Human being is not stuck. Human being can look in the mirror and say, love myself, but not proud about this. Not happy with that. Want to change that. Human being can take himself and turn himself around. Human being can spend the first half of his life completely not connected to God and the Torah and can change, can turn around. Because we were given that ability. It's impossible to have a concept that's based on Nidin Lashum Sofo, to say that you're locked into where you're going. That message that you're not locked in, that message that you're not stuck is a message that we need to hear now, right before Rosh Hashanah, to remind ourselves that we have the ability, we're human beings, we have the ability to be able to become different. We have the ability to be able to grow ourselves. We have the ability to be able to reinvent. All we have to do is just dig inside and find that place. But that ability is always there. Expound this section of the Torah, and it will be incredibly rewarding because it will be the reminder that you need. You're not stuck. You can move onwards. You can move upwards. You can change your reality in a moment. Have a beautiful, wonderful, amazing, uplifting Shabbos.